Victory Monday!
We're the freaking New York Jets. We're built for this shit.
That indeed we are. Welcome everyone to Victory Monday. Yes, on a Wednesday. Presented by No Credentials Required in association with Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. And indeed I'm representing my New York Jets tonight because we are 11 days away. 11 sweet, glorious days away from the 2025 NFL season. And it'll be New York Jets kickoff on Sunday, this 7th, when they take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a brand new era. It's a brand new regime with Darren Muji as GM and Aaron Glenn as head coach. 2024 is behind us. Thank you, Jesus. And we're going to get things started. We're going to talk about the 2025 season, our 5 factors of what we think the Jets need to do to be successful this season. Also, we'll have some predictions at the end. But before we do all that, I just want to remind the people to please give us a share. Follow us on Facebook. Follow No Credentials Required on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for No Credentials Required. You can also find our other podcasts and written articles at bellyupsports.com. You can also find the podcasts wherever you find podcasts. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, Podbean, and the YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell on YouTube and on Twitter. That way you know when you're notified when this handy-dandy podcast, the Victory Monday podcast, again, yes, it's on a Wednesday, I understand, goes live. And we're going to be live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. It'll be a live stream only, as opposed to our regular OG show, which goes on the podcast side. But we're going to make this an exclusively streaming show. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host for Victory Monday. He is South Florida's biggest Jets fan. He's also the biggest Florida Panthers fan I know. And I'm sure he's very, 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 very happy that the Florida Panthers repeated the Stanley Cup this year. I'm going to bring in my co-host, Dan Goldstein. Dan, how are we doing this evening?
It's lovely to see your big, beautiful bald head again, my friend. How are you?
For sure. Hey, I just had a birthday too, so hey, it's another year older. But
you're going Benjamin Button style. You just get younger and younger every time I see you.
Hey, it's a kid in me, man. I can't help it. But man, how are you doing this evening, man? It's good to see your face again. Join me for another Jets season on hand.
I put last season's behind me. I've forgotten everything that ever happened. I couldn't answer a single question you told me about last season. I've mentally checked it out of my mind. I don't know nothing about nothing with 2024. And I'm just looking forward to hope, optimism, those things that we as Jets fans constantly cling to and just never quite seem to get. But who knows? Aaron Glenn seems like he's the real deal. We'll see if Darren Muji can put together a squad that can compete. And maybe there's actually some fun in our future. So like I said, it's pessimistic optimism here to add for 2025.
My headline is quietly optimistic. I've been quietly optimistic since Aaron Glenn's hiring and OTAs and minicamp and training camp, the way he handled training camp this season, and the fact that the Jets have uncharacteristically extended two of their key pieces for the future in Sauce Gardner, whose autographed photo I have right behind me, and also Garrett Wilson. They've signed them. They're going to have them go into the going into the future. Going to be key pieces of the offense and the defense. So hence the quiet optimism. So
look at that. The Jets Jets front office actually doing things the right way, like paying your own homegrown talent that deserves it, and not trying to drag it out for the bottom dollar and making everyone just feel like absolute shit doing it. So I commend Muji for coming in here and working that out with them. Hopefully AVT is coming in the mid-season. I think that's kind of I think that's I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm not going to finish that thought. We'll deal with it. We'll talk about that one later. But
Yeah.
I'm just glad that like I said, they're doing the right thing. It's everything sounds right. Everything feels right. Aaron Glenn feels like an actual coach, not like Robert Saleh, who's like a player in charge.
Yeah.
And let's just, like I said, let's just hope he, the lessons that he takes from being a former player and from being in a winning culture like what Detroit has been, he's able to bring over here and, finally take us to the promised land. How sweet would it be for one of our best former players of all time to lead us all the way to that glorious, glorious Lombardi trophy?
Yeah, it would be great. But I'm focused on what's going to happen this season, especially since again we have a new regime. We have people who I think they know what they're doing when it comes to football, which is really odd for a New York Jets team, especially for this organization. I mean, after last season, what happened? I seem to remember Woody Johnson having some accountability, and that he said, "Yeah, I gotta be a better owner." I'm like, "What? Who are you? And who have you swapped bodies with?"
You mean the worst? You mean the guy that was rated the worst owner in the NFL thinks he needs to be a better owner? Shocking. By players.
Yeah, right. I mean,
shocking.
But it's very shocking. I mean, at least there was some sort of accountability and some sort of like a come to Jesus moment for him.
I mean,
after last offseason, last season, not only last season but the season before, when 2023 and 2024.
I just, it seems like he's learned his lesson. I mean, between that and the fact that he seems like he's taken a large step back, and what he did with the Jets locker room, which is unreal, by the way. Let's talk. Let's take a minute to give him credit on what they did for that Jets locker room. They took, what I think the grade that was given was like a D or something like that for the locker room.
Yeah, they were given like D minus by the players.
That. You cannot tell me that is not an A+ locker room now. That is insane.
Yeah, that's going to be
insane.
That is going to be a world-class locker room. Yeah, I mean, it's college football locker, and some college football teams, Division I, FCS, whatever you want to call them, their locker rooms, like the SEC or the Big Ten, were looking better than the Jets locker room. But
there's Texas high school football teams that probably had a better locker room than the Jets.
Yeah, indeed, that's for sure. But we're 12 days away. I'm sorry, 11 days away from Jets kickoff. Let's talk about this 2025 season. Like you said, Dan, we're putting 2024 behind us. It's in the rear view mirror. New era, new regime, the new season coming up very, very soon. We're both going to talk about our 5 factors for the Jets to have a successful 2025. Now, what does that success look like to Dan? Might be different from what it looks like to me. For me, I'm looking at, we'll reveal our win totals at the end. But Dan, I'm going to have you start with your 5 factors in 2025 for the Jets to have a successful season in 2025.
Obviously, I think the first couple will start with the obvious things, and we'll move into something that's, they'll move into some others that are a little bit less obvious. The obvious thing is, you want to be a run first team, that you better be able to win in them trenches. So no matter what happens here on both the offensive and defensive line, especially for a run first team, you better be winning in the trenches on offense and on defense. You have got to bully at all times in order to be able to run this offense the way they want to run it, and to allow Justin Fields to live in the offense that he's best suited for at this stage of his career. So hopefully the health of the O-line stays where it is. Hopefully Membu was that final missing piece that the O-line needed in order to take that next step into pure dominance. and Braylon Allen in year 2, Breece Hall going into year 4, maybe the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, lightning and thunder that the Jets have wanted and needed. And, they're just able to ground and pound it and just play ball control. So that's number 1 that they need to do, fairly obvious. Number 2, got to cut down on penalties. You are going to be a team that is not going to – you're not going to really chunk yards out at a regular rate. You're going to be grinders. You're going to try and catch anywhere from 4 to 12 yards per play, mainly on runs. There won't be a lot of chunk 30, 40-yard throws. So if you're going to play this way, you're going to have more opportunity for more plays on drives, which gives you more opportunities to commit penalties, holdings, false starts, personal fouls, whatever it may be. That has got to be cut down. Or a team that's built like this, for an offense like you're going to run, you do not have the luxury of moving back 10 yards and being able to overcome it on a regular basis. So that, to me, is number 2 most important for this team, is to really, really cut down on the penalties, get more disciplined, get more focused, and just grind it out, because that's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Number 3 is I want to see the young guys build up into their leadership roles. I want to see Olu take on a leadership role on that offensive line. Sauce has already started doing it in the cornerback room. Garrett's doing it now on the wide receiver room. I want to see, Jamie and Sherwood is putting in that work now in the linebacker room. Quinnen Williams, but you want to see them cohesively be able to come together as young guys, not quite grizzled veterans, but be able to have everyone on the team lean into their words, lean into their mantra, lean into the goal, and to just cohesively come together as a unit under the young guys' leadership. Because there's only 4 players on this team that are over 30. We are a very young squad. Yeah. So it is imperative that some of the younger guys are the ones that show the most leadership qualities as we try and build up towards the future. Mm-hmm. So that's the 3rd thing I really want to see. 4th, that defense needs to create turnovers and capitalize with the way this offense is going to be structured. Every point is going to help in order to maintain our offense. We need defensive scoring to happen. We need pick sixes. We need fumble recoveries, return for touchdowns, or at the very least, we need some yards taken back when we get a turnover to shorten that field for our offense tremendously and give us a real leg up. We did not get a single defensive touchdown last season. You can't have that. Your defense has to be able to contribute at some point at being able to help your offense. Mm-hmm. And it certainly seemed like, obviously, too, as the season bore down and it was just clear the Jets were in over their head, the turnovers just started disappearing too. So it was just, if you didn't make them punt, then the other team was scoring. And that can't happen. You have to be able to create opportunity. You have to be able to flip the field. You have to be able to flip momentum and allow your offense the maximum amount of chances and ball control time they possibly have. So I want to see more turnovers, which, I mean, every team wants to see more turnovers. As I'm not saying anything new, but I want to see the team with more turnovers capitalize it into points, specifically on the defensive side. That's what I want to see more than anything else. I mean, I think the Cowboys had like 5 touchdowns last year as a defense. That's the kind of thing that can turn a game on its head, where if your offense is having a struggle, but your defense is holding strong, that score could kind of ignite what you need in order to start building upon it. So that, to me, that's the 4th thing I want to see for this team. The 5th thing that needs to happen with this team, I need to see how Aaron Glenn handles adversity and in-game adjustment. That is something we did not see with Robert Saleh whatsoever. The game
or
plan,
Adam Gase,
or
Adam
Adam
Gase for
Gase,
that matter.
correct. The game plan was the game plan was the game plan. It didn't matter if they were winning by 40 or if they were losing by 40. It didn't matter if the tackles couldn't block for the life of them. It didn't matter if the run blocking couldn't pave a hole for the running backs. It made no difference. And they just kept going back to what it was. I want to see Aaron Glenn and the coaching staff quickly make snap decisions and react to what's happening on the field and make the adjustments and see the adjustments being played out and actually working. Mm-hmm. I want to see the work being put in the scenarios, in the film room, in the coach's room, and going over that to be able to work as it happens. That's what I think is the fifth most important thing we need to see that we haven't seen in a long, long time. I want to see the actual coaching go in place. That's what I need to see more than anything else. So those are my 5 things.
All right. Very well said. Well said. And before I give my 5 things, let's go to the chat real quick. On the YouTube side, we got Desi. She's one of our newest cred heads. She says, "Hey guys, thanks for doing the show. Thanks for being here, Desi. We appreciate you." Desi's from Alabama, so you're going to see a lot of roll tides in the chat. Going to see a lot of roll tides in the chat. Of course, the Jets have 2 former Alabama Crimson Tide football members in their team, including Williams and Malachi Moore. So, we got those 2 guys. Also, there's plenty of other guys in history of the team that have been with the team who have been from Alabama. Recently, C.J. Mosley, Marty Lyons is an Alabama alum. I think who else? Greg McElroy, once upon a time a New York Jet.
The Roback, more famous for his girlfriend than anything.
That's true. That's true. Brent Musburger is still grueling over Snowman Chicken In saying, hey. And he also says, I'm going to have to really give it to him for this. He says, and yet the Jets give it all up for Justin Fields. LOL, sorry I had to. Okay, whatever. All right. Brock Purdy stand.
Who's Snowman's team?
Snowman's a 49ers fan.
Damn
it. You were hoping he was a Miami Dolphins fan, didn't you?
Going in. I'm ready and prepared if you want to be a Dolphins and Pats fan. I don't have any ammo on the 49ers right off the top of my head.
No, neither do I really. But last year they had an off year. They had a lot of injuries. I expect them to be back in form this season if they can remain healthy. They'll be back in form from a few years back. Desi saying roll tide roll. And Snowman answering your question, been a 49er fan since 1981. So but yeah, so got some action in the chat, which is really nice to see here on Victory Monday on a Wednesday. Yeah. All right, my five plans for my 5 reasons for success, not reasons for success, but 5 things the Jets need to do to be successful. Some of them will echo yours. Others will I'll just be some from my own head, but yes, I definitely echo your sentiment about running the ball. Run the ball. It's gonna be a run. It's gonna be a run first team. And I think that's what Aaron Glenn has as his identity for this team. With Tanner Engstrand as his offensive coordinator. Tanner Engstrand has called plays before, albeit at a collegiate level at the University of San Diego when he was part of Jim Harbaugh's team back when Jim Harbaugh started his college career at the University of San Diego, not San Diego State, San Diego. Just want to separate those 2 before he went out to Stanford and then to the NFL and University of Michigan. Now he's back in the NFL with the Chargers, so which could be a sleeper team this year, but that's down the road. But yes, you not only have 1, not 2, but 3 capable running backs who can do a lot of damage for you this year. You talk about Breece Hall. We know what he can do with the ball. We've seen his breakaway speed. We know his what he can do between the tackles. Same with Braylon Allen, who I think is going to be the standout star of this triumvirate of running backs for this team. Braylon Allen had a great preseason, an outstanding preseason, And I think it's just a small sample of what's to come for this year. I think they're going to feature him a lot. Not so much like the Breece Hall type of running back where he's kind of like a Marshall Faulk runs CMC type of running back where you see him not only run the ball but catch the ball out of the backfield because we have an offensive coordinator who now knows that Breece Hall can catch the ball out of the backfield. Unlike some other past offensive coordinators. But I think you're going to see Breece Hall line up in as wide receiver in some situations and have Braylon Allen as your in the backfield. So not only do you have Breece Hall, not only do you have Braylon Allen, you've also got Isaiah Davis, who can do a lot of good things for you as well. So you got 3 running backs who can do a lot of carrying the ball. Plus, you got Justin Fields who can use his legs. Don't forget, a couple of years ago, he was one of the leading rushers in the league. He's using his legs a lot. I think it was the 2022 season when he had over 1,000 yards rushing to go with 2,000 yards passing at Chicago Bears team. He was 9th in the MVP. He was 9th in MVP voting in 2022. That's how crazy that season was for him. Albeit didn't have the offensive line like he has with the Jets now. So that Swiss whole line of an offensive line that the Bears had. I think they still have, my humble opinion, but he's going to have some good protection in front of him this year, I think. And I think the Jets are going to do a lot. You're going to see the Jets run the ball, run it a lot. And that sets up the table for a breakout play to Garrett Wilson, to Mason Taylor, to Beck, the fullback coming out of the backfield. But the bread and butter of this offensive identity, because they get the guys up front who can pave the way, it's going to be a run first offense. So you want them to be physical right off the bat. Number 2, like you mentioned, Dan, reduce the penalties. This team was the most penalized team in the NFL last year. And I think they were also in the top 5 most penalized teams in the NFL. They've been one of the most penalized teams in the last decade. That's how badly the discipline has been. That's how bad the discipline has been for this team. Doesn't matter which coach it is. Doesn't matter if it's Robert Saleh. Doesn't matter if it's Adam Gase. Doesn't matter if it's Todd Bowles. This team's discipline is lacking. And he brought in a coach. You bring in a coach like Aaron Glenn, who is going to say to you, all right, you're making too many mistakes. You're going to sit down. We saw that in the preseason game with the Packers. Michael Clemens had that renegade, roughing the passer, a personal foul penalty, and immediately Aaron Glenn just said, "Sit down. You're sitting the rest of the game. Sit down." I thought that was great, and he says we got to reduce penalties. We got to be disciplined on the ball in terms of penalties. We got to be more disciplined. I'm hoping that is going to be is one of the biggest factors for this team to be successful this year. The third factor, this defense, it can't be the same defense as last year. Jeff Ulbricht's scheme, along with Robert Saleh, that was a defense that was allegedly built to protect leads, not to do any kind of game-changing plays, not to do any, not to force turnovers. I mean, they got sacks. They got to the quarterback. They got to the quarterback a lot last year, even without Jermaine Johnson. You still had Will McDonald had a breakout season. A couple of guys who also had great seasons. I'm hoping for a return to form for Quincy Williams, because he did not have a great season last year for in terms of his personal performance. I think Quincy Williams had a season last year. So I think you're going to see a lot of that I think you see this defense from 2023 kind of return to form. But you're going to see with Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes as your defensive coordinator, you're going to see a lot of exotic looks. You're going to see a lot of linebacker deep blitzes. You're going to see some corner blitzes and safety blitzes. We never saw that in the Saleh era. We didn't really see a linebacker blitz a whole lot. We didn't see a safety or a corner blitz a whole lot. So you're going to see a lot of exotic looks on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to see him try to get to the quarterback, knock him on his ass a lot. Hopefully we see that in week 1 against a suspect offensive line of Pittsburgh because you're facing an old friend now is on the other side of the ball, and Aaron Rodgers. Number four on my list is that the defensive line, they need to return to dominance. They allowed a lot of rushing yards last year. It was their biggest weakness on defense, was that rushing defense, especially in the interior, where it was just Quinnen Williams, and that was pretty much it. They traded John Franklin Myers to the Denver Broncos for a draft pick, and that wound up being one of the worst decisions. I personally thought it was the nail in the coffin for Joe Douglas when he traded John Franklin Myers. Yes, he's a penalty machine. He has a roughing the passer penalty, a rogue roughing the passer penalty. Everyone's at the worst times, but he was also one of your most effective run stoppers. And you see, before the preseason ended, Darren Muji brings in a couple of guys who can stuff the run, a couple of defensive linemen who can stuff the run, and who can and who can help the defense be more aggressive stopping the run. They were the best run stopping defenses in 2023. In 2024, the script flipped in a big way. So I think the defense, if they can return the form and stopping the run, and again, you mentioned, Dan, in the trench battle. On the offensive side of the ball, you got to win the trenches against against the opposing defenses. On the defensive side of the ball, if you want to get to the quarterback, if you want to stop the run, it starts on the defensive line. And number five, I think one of the biggest factors is going to be that offense. It's going to be how the offense does as a unit, as a whole. Because, yes, they signed Justin Fields. Yes, we know his history. We know all his troubles in Chicago. We know about what happened last year in Pittsburgh, where he started the season, and believe it or not, led the Steelers, to a 4-2 record. They were 4-2 after week 6 before Russell Wilson got healthy, and they Mike Tomlin in the starting lineup, and Russell Wilson started the rest of the year. I want to see what Tanner Engstrand has put together on this offense, and in terms of how he can communicate with Justin Fields and how Justin Fields can handle pressure of being in a bigger market. Chicago's a big market. Yes. Pittsburgh, yes, they had their own expectations, but you're in the biggest media market in the United States, in New York. New York is a completely different animal from any other sports market in the United States. In fact, the world. And you have a couple bad games under your belt, you're going to be in a heap of trouble. And I'm hoping that Justin Fields, it's not so much his physical ability. We know what his physical ability is. He's a super strong arm. He's very effective with his legs. But the mental aspect, what's between the ears, I want to see what kind of things he can do when he gets knocked on his butt a couple times during the game. I want to see him, what kind of adversity he can overcome if things get rough very, very early in the game. Because I don't want to see our quarterback melt down when the back's against the wall. They're down 14-3 in the second quarter, and it seems like the game's going to run away from them. I want to see what kind of mental toughness this kid has. I want to see what Justin Fields can do in terms of his mental toughness, in terms of getting the rest of the offense inspired and getting them to and leading them to a victory and coming back from a large lead. So I want to see what kind of mental toughness this not only Justin Fields has, but the offense as a whole. Because if I'm Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, some of the other guys in this team who are the longest, Thomas Hennessy, he's the longest tenured Jet on this team. He's been here, I think, his 8th season, I think. 8th or 9th season. You've got to be sick of losing. And those guys who have been here for the longest time, the longest tenured Jets, they've seen a lot of losing, and they're ready to start winning. They want to win now. And I want them to be inspired. I also want them to be the leaders in the locker room that they were drafted to be. The Quinn Williams, the Jermaine Johnson, he's back. I can't wait to see him and McDonald on the edges to see what kind of havoc they can wreak against opposing quarterbacks. Sauce Gardner in the secondary. Garrett Wilson as your primary receiver, but also a leader, Brees Hall, leader amongst the running backs. Offensive line, Tippmann, AVT, like you mentioned, Dan. Like, he's due for an extension. We think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen too. It's going to happen during the season sometime. But he's a leader amongst the linemen. They're all sick of losing. They're all sick of a losing culture. They're all sick of being labeled as the perennial losers every single year. And I think that starting week one, they're going to start hitting people in the mouth. They're going to be saying, we're tired of this stuff. We don't want to be known as the perennial losers anymore. This change started in late January when Aaron Glenn was here. We're sold on him. We're going to fight for him and go out and at least try to be respectable in every single game this year. I don't know. I mean, we'll go talk about our record predictions in a few moments, but yes, I want to see them win games, but I also want to see them at least show up in losses, because we've seen so many times over the last couple of seasons when the Jets have been they're taken out of the game early, or they go up with a small lead early and they surrender it and they can't come back. We saw that a lot in the offensive side last year. You had to depend on your defense to do something and they couldn't get it done. I think this year, the new mentality, the new culture with Aaron Glenn leading the way, I think it changes this year. And I want to see that amongst the entire staff, and especially the veterans on this team.
Oh, well said. Nothing you can obviously disagree with here. It's just, there's a lot that needs to come together. You know, we need to see optimism for the future. We need to see Muji knows how to make proper personnel decisions. We need to see that Aaron Glenn knows how to control the team in adversity and keep them rallied and keep the fire in them. You know, I don't want to see so much more demoralizing losses. I mean, it felt like every loss was demoralizing. It wasn't like hard fought battles or anything like that. It was just a straight demoralized, just complete just destruction of mental fortitude by the time the game was done.
Yep.
And I just don't want to see that anymore. Like, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose. Like, it's going to happen. Lose strong.
Yep.
Lose tough. Lose hard. You know, play whistle to whistle. So there's a lot that can happen. There's a lot that will happen. And, you know, I'm cautiously, pessimistically optimistic that we'll see some good. We'll probably see a little bit more bad for the start of the year, just because the roster's not quite up to par. But you know, just show us the hope. Show me the hope.
Yeah, it's not only the team coming to form, it's also the schedule. The front end of the schedule is pretty brutal. Not to say brutal, but it's going to be very, very tough, because you got Pittsburgh and Buffalo back to back at home to start the season. Then you go to Florida to play at Tampa and at Miami on Monday night. Week 5 is against the Cowboys. Week 6 is in London against Denver. Week 7 is against the Carolina Panthers team. I think Carolina is going to surprise a lot of people this year. But that's just me. Then they got the Bengals they're at Cincinnati in week 8. We don't know what Cincinnati is going to be. Offensively, we know what their identity is going to be. Defensively, it's going to be it's Trey Hendrickson, and that's pretty much it. They get a bye in week 9, and then the rest of the schedule gets a little easier. Home against Cleveland in week 10, at New England on Thursday night, week 11. This is the toughest game at Baltimore, week 12. Week 13, they're playing Atlanta. You know, it's a mixed bag. Their defense is going to be improved. We're going to see a full season of Michael Penix. I'm just kind of curious to see what their identity is going to be on the offensive side of the ball. Week 14, home against Miami. Week 15 at Jacksonville, who also has a first-year head coach of their own. Particularly, that's going to be this guy right here.
Duval.
And then week 16, what's that?
He should have practiced that.
He should have practiced that. They give him a second shot. They let him do a makeup, but I'm like, no, you had one shot. You tried.
The internet never forgets.
We never forget. And sometimes we never forgive. Week 15 is at Jacksonville. Week 16 is at New Orleans. Week 17 is the home finale against New England. And then week 18 at Buffalo. So yeah, if you're gonna lose with dignity, lose and make it look like you're in the game. But like I said, the first part of the beginning part of the schedule, it's tougher than the second part of the schedule. Your toughest games are Baltimore and Buffalo at the end.
It's any given Sunday is a thing for a reason. So every game, these Jets don't have any excuse to take granted any team that they come up against. And I just want to see a cohesive squad that comes out, and maybe we can string together a few win streaks. Who knows? Maybe we can get shockingly surprised, or maybe we can see some upsets. Maybe somehow we take one at Buffalo. I don't know. We did it in 2023 without Aaron Rodgers. So
true.
You know what I mean? Like there's just
and 2022.
And 2022. I mean, any given Sunday is a thing for a reason. So let's prove it. We're going to be underdogs in a lot of these games, and let's just prove that we belong. That's it. Prove that we belong. Show that we all, that we're buying into the system. Show that we're buying into the coaching, and show that the leadership is doing what they're supposed to do. That's basically where I'm at for this season. And I'm just going to go in with, my head held high and in the hopes that the Jets do better than expected.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping too. I mean, like you said, Dan, there's going to be some growing pains, especially early. But I think as the season goes along, you're going to see a team that's going to start building confidence, and hopefully we'll see. You're right. We see a winning streak here and there. It's more than 2 games. I think the most they won in a row last year was 2 games. Now it's week 2 and 3, and then had 10 days off. That week 3 win was against New England on a Thursday night. And they had 10 days off and looked absolutely flat against the Broncos. Then we saw what happened in London against the Vikings, where they fought back, but the Vikings held on for that win. And then it just kind of steamrolled from there. It snowballed from there the rest of the season. But you're absolutely right. I'm just hoping that they look respectable this year. All right, we're going to get to our season predictions in just a moment. But first, just got to tell you about one of our newest affiliate sponsors at No Credentials Required, and that is Fanatics. Being a fan isn't just about game day. It's about every day. At Fanatics, we've got the gear to rep your team and the memorabilia to make it unforgettable. From jerseys to limited edition collectibles, from the stands to your shelf, it's all here. Fan gear, fan moments, Fanatics. Our link is in the description. It's our affiliate link below, where you can get a shirt just like this one, the one that I'm currently wearing. I got at Fanatics using the affiliate link, helping my own cause a little bit for the show. But every order using our affiliate link, which is in the description, helps our show a little bit more. Get a little bit more in our pockets, so we can, as a thank you from Fanatics for being our sponsor. It also helps build towards the future with better equipment, better live streaming capabilities, and better ability to make more content like this one, like Victory Monday on a Wednesday. But yes, Fanatics, our link is in the description. Find yourself some fan gear, some memorabilia, some collectibles. You can find it all at Fanatics. Again, link is in the description below. All right, Dan, before we wrap things up, it's kind of an abridged version of Victory Monday since it's the 2025 season premiere. Week 1's coming up pretty soon, but we have some predictions to make, record predictions, player predictions, how things are going to go, who could be the surprise in this, who could be the surprise standout in this lineup. So I'm going to give you the floor here since I've been talking quite a lot in the last 20 minutes or so. But I want to give you the floor as to which players you think is going to stand out this year, which players might be a surprise for the Jets this year, and also some predictions in terms of, I guess you'd say, stats. Let's go with that. So I'll give you the floor on this one.
I think my standout player for the 2025 Jets, 26 Jets, is going to be Will McDonald. I think Will McDonald has grown as a player the last 2 years that we've seen him. He was very good last year, albeit he did a lot in spurts, but he overall was very good. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. He looks faster. He looks more technical. He looks more sound. He just looks like he's ready to explode. And it's very, very possible Will McDonald has a Pro Bowl, hopefully all-pro style season if he reaches the level that we all hope that he can reach. I mean, Joe Douglas didn't really do, he didn't really do a lot right. And at the time, Will McDonald was a very heavily panned selection.
Yeah.
At 15 overall. But maybe, you know what? It's entirely possible he may have got that one. Granted, could we have saved a little bit in value? Got it maybe into the late 20s, caught a couple extra draft picks and caught him and still been this good? Probably. But you know what? We got him where we got him. And so far he's proven worthy of that 15 overall pick. He hasn't been a drag down. He hasn't been a disappointment. He's been to be expected. Rookie year had his growing pains. Second year, he looked just leaner, more prepared. And then this year, he just looks like he's ready to explode. He's got like 18 more pounds of muscle on him with zero loss of flexibility, speed, or pass rush moves and techniques. So, I'm excited to see what he can bring. And hopefully he can come out as a 3-down player. He can show himself against the run, and he can keep himself on the field more to give himself more opportunity. And I feel like he's going to be one of our big standouts. So I go Will McDonald there. I see a big surprise to be on our team right now. I mean, I don't really know who I would consider to be a surprise at the moment. I mean, you kind of hopefully Jermaine Johnson's health is a surprise.
Yeah.
Hopefully a pass rusher coming off a blown Achilles is not usually a recipe for immediate success.
Right.
So I guess that's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully we're surprised by Jermaine Johnson's health. He's 100%. He shows little to no ill effects from the Achilles. He stays healthy, and he's able to continue to grow into his role on this Jets defensive line. So that's my hopeful surprise, if you will. As far as I feel, I'm going to go on a negative one here. Let down. I'm feeling very let down already with Brandon Stevens as number 2. Watching Brandon Stevens in Baltimore. I'm sorry, Brandon Stevens is the number 2 cornerback.
Right.
Watching Brandon Stevens in Baltimore was terrible. He looked like Kyle Wilson. He couldn't find the ball. He couldn't play the man. He couldn't keep up. He couldn't flip his hips. And I don't know what they saw on tape throughout that season with Baltimore and said, we need Brandon Stevens. Like that's our guy. And then when you factor in what we paid Brandon Stevens, $12 million, compared to what DJ Reed, who was arguably a top 15 cornerback in the NFL the last 2 to 3 years, he got, I think, 14 to 15 million. I would have done anything in my power to keep DJ Reed around longer. Granted, he didn't want to. So, I mean, you can only do so much there. But DJ Reed is worth well more money, easily 5-6 million more than what Brandon Stevens is going to bring to the table. And I'm very worried about Brandon Stevens there, because at least with DJ Reed and Sauce, you had to pick your poison, because both of them were sticky, both of them were good, both of them had the ability to just shut down. Now, I mean, it almost feels like it's open season on Brandon Stevens. So I wouldn't expect good statistics from him. I wouldn't expect a very high PFF grade if that's your thing. I wouldn't expect him to be high in those charts that you see where, it's like yards per target and, catches allowed or yards allowed. I expect Brandon Stevens to be in that bottom corner. And hopefully AZ Thomas, who unfortunately was injured this year or this offseason and really didn't show much when he was around, grows into his role, matures quickly, and can be the first round talent that everyone thought he was pre-draft before he ran his 4.64 or whatever it was he ran. And he can take over that spot, and the Brandon Stevens experiment ends earlier than later. So that's my negative prediction there, is that Brandon Stevens is going to be quite a disappointment. I guess I would say beyond that, leading rusher. I think leading rusher, it almost feels like Justin Fields at this point, because just Breece and Braylon Allen will probably share the rock so much in the running game that I feel like Justin Fields will have more opportunity to gain more yardage than either one of them. So I imagine leading rusher will probably be Justin Fields. Leading receiver, obviously, we're going to expect Garrett Wilson, but I think Garrett Wilson doesn't quite live up to his numbers of the previous seasons just because of Fields' limitations and the style of offense we're going to run and the way defenses are going to be able to play against our receiver core. So he'll be heavily targeted, absolutely, but he's going to have to do a lot of work. He's going to have to do a lot of work in order to maximize his opportunities. So, we'll see what we can hope for there. As far as a record goes, I have the Jets ending at around 5-12.
Okay.
So
all right.
I don't expect this to be a fun season. I don't expect it to be a great season. I don't expect this to be a season where I am pleasantly surprised in a lot of ways. I expect there to be losses, but I want those losses to be hard fought, close, and with dignity. And if that can happen, maybe you surprise me. Maybe we do get more wins than expected, and we can really build on it and continue to round out the roster to be more of an Aaron Glenn, Derek Muji roster.
Okay. All right. So as for me, the guy I'm looking for to be a standout this year, I expect Sauce Gardner to return to form from last year. Last year was at least first two seasons, all pro seasons. Absolutely outstanding. The best. Let's face it. I'm not playing Homer here. But he was the best corner in football in 2022 and 2023. 2024, I wouldn't say we saw some holes in his game, but I think, if I remember correctly, he battled injury. Like we talked about this very, very early in the season. You talked about him. He's not as sticky, or his feet weren't moving as quickly as they usually were. I think he was battling some sort of injury last year, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember him? I remember him staying out a couple of games because of some sort of injury issue. But I expect Sauce Gardner to return to form. Now I know he was out all this preseason, not the preseason, yet the preseason games. He didn't play at all. I know he was battling a calf issue. Obviously, you want to take precautions when it comes to your calf, because as we know, the calf supports the Achilles. Once that Achilles goes, as we've seen in the last couple seasons with two big players on both sides of the ball, very tough to come back from. So Hopefully they're taking care of him, getting him ready for week 1. I think he's gonna bounce back and have a better season than he did last year. And I expect him to maybe get a pick or two. Let's see him get an interception. I like to see him. We see him batting the ball away, having some important plays there. But you was drafted for a reason. That was one of those reasons to stay on your best receiver and the opposing team's best receiver. But I would like to see him hopefully get an interception or 2 or 3 or 4. We'll see. Let's see what happens this year with him. But I think he's going to have a bounce back season. Another guy I expect to have a bounce back season is Quinnen Williams. Last year again, another guy who who has all pro potential, who had an off year last year. Didn't have the best season as he had in the past. And like I said, I think it came down to the fact that this defensive scheme last year was meant to protect leads and not take any chances. If they tried taking chances, it always backfired on them. We saw that in the Indianapolis game. We saw it in several games last year where they had a lead late and they gave it up because they gave up a big play. And I think Quinnen Williams is a big part of that on the interior defensive line. I think he has a bounce back season. As far as surprises go, I'm going to say rookie Mason Taylor. And the reason being is because I think he's going to finish. I mean, Garrett Wilson's going to be your primary receiver. There's no doubt about that. Will his stats be like last couple seasons where over 100 receptions and 1,000 yards? I'm hoping he has 1,000 yards. But I think you're going to see, like we mentioned, it's going to be a run first offense, excuse me. But I think they're going to be utilizing the tight end a lot this year, and they drafted Mason Taylor for a very specific reason. That is to catch the football. We haven't seen seen a really big premier tight end in this Jets lineup for a very, very long time. I mean, you could argue Ty Conklin, you can argue, but it's not the superstar that we want in a tight end. And I think Mason Taylor might finish second in receptions this season. If not him, then Breece Hall, because Breece Hall is going to be catching a lot of passes out the backfield this season. As far as pessimistic goes, I don't want to beat on a dead horse, but I'm going to beat on a dead horse anyway. Michael Clemens. We were all very surprised that he was on the 53-man roster because, like we've talked about in this program before, he's too small for the interior, and he's too slow for the edge. But somehow, Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes have found a home for him. What he's going to be doing, we're not really sure. But the one hope I have for him is that he cuts down on penalties, because he has been known to take a lot of really dumb, really undisciplined penalties at the worst times in the game. We saw it last year. We saw it the year before. And, there's hope that they can do something with them. They kept them on the 53-man roster for a reason. Let's see what we can do, but I don't have a whole lot of high hopes for him. I hope he proves me wrong. I'm hoping that Brandon Stevens proves my co-host wrong. But my hopes aren't very high for Mr. Clemens being on this roster for in the future, going after 2025. As far as records go, I actually have a ceiling of 9 wins, and I have a floor of 6. It's a very thin line. Look at the schedule. We've talked about before that this is going to be, especially early, it's going to be a lot of growing pains especially on the offensive side of the ball, because we have a quarterback. The Jets have a quarterback who is part of that star-crossed 2021 draft class of quarterbacks that has been underwhelming, to be kind. Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Justin Fields is one of them. I mean, Chicago traded up to get him because they wanted him in their offense. Trevor Lawrence, mixed bag. Went to the playoffs last year, did not, but went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. Won the division title in the AFC South in 2023, but 2024 was just a letdown. But like I said, 2021, that star-crossed quarterback draft class, and you hope that he is signed with the Jets for a reason, and that reason is to use his skills to his potential. And I think that they can do this here with this offense. Now, granted, he might only be here a year. His contract was 2 years, $40 million. Opt out after this year. If things don't work out, no harm, no foul. You're free to go your own way, and we'll draft a quarterback in 2026. But my hope is that he'll be confident behind this offensive line that I think is destined for greatness, like the past lines we've seen in 2009 and 2010 with Rex Ryan, in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s with Herm Edwards and Bill Parcells. You hope that this offensive line is going to be an elite offensive line going forward. And if you put Justin Fields behind a line that can protect him, that can pave the way for the run game, that can use this RPO to his advantage, I think good things are ahead. That way you get to 9 wins. The way you get to 6 wins is they lose a couple of games early. If they get off to a 1-3 start, if they go off to an 0-4 start, things start snowballing. And especially in the first 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks is going to be the toughest test of all. It's going to be a really tough test because 4 of these teams were playoff teams last year: Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Denver. Notice I didn't say Dallas. But this first 6 weeks is going to determine what this team is going to be for the rest of the season. And you hope after week 6, that this team's going to be 3-3, maybe 4-2 if things really go the Jets' way. If they start off 2-4 or 1-5, it's going to be a really tough road for the rest of the season. Although, like I said, the back end of the schedule a little bit easier than the front end. But this first 6 weeks, and especially week 1, is going to determine the course of this team for this season. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see a Jets team in the playoffs with Aaron Glenn as the leader of this team in the future. I don't think it's going to be this year, but my hopes are they stay in games, they keep fighting on both sides of the ball, they keep Justin Fields upright, they knock down opposing quarterbacks, get some turnovers, we get some turnovers on our side of the ball. Hey, maybe some special teams will surprise us. Bringing back Nick Folk, which is really great. We've got ourselves a very capable kicker who knows the swirling winds of MetLife / Giant Stadium. We've got a new punter in the mix. Hopefully, you can be the next Thomas Morstead, and we'll see what special teams does this season too. So I'm hoping for good things there. But yeah, my ceiling is 9. My floor is 6 for this team. Where it lands, we don't know but that's the most predictable thing about the future is that's unpredictable. But I'm hoping for good things this year. Hoping for a lot of good things this year. Hoping for a lot of progress because it'll set the table for 2026.
You certainly have a little bit more optimism in their win total than I do. I just don't see the offense being able to control games enough at this juncture to be able to warrant anything more than 7 wins at best. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe they surprise me. Again, maybe they're so dominant in the run game they barely need to pass. And
possible.
Somehow the run just they're able to run for 250 every game, and it's just, just one of the greatest things you've ever seen. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like you said, future's unpredictable.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the 2024 Baltimore Ravens by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Jets fans I'd absolutely kill for a quarterback like Lamar Jackson to run this kind of offense. I mean, I can see him in there, but we have who we have, and Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn, they're putting their hopes in for the rest for 2025 and hopefully beyond. And hopefully we see a playoff appearance. I don't think this is necessarily going to be this year, but hopefully this is 2025 is just a building block for what's to come in the future, in the very near future for this team.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is. It's just another building block of a year. It's let's see who shakes free. Let's see who buys in, and then let's see what holes can be filled going into next year. My expectation. I'm a big draft guy. It's my favorite time of the year. I love it. And 26 is shaping up to be potentially quite legendary, depending on the people that come out. So it would not surprise me, even if Justin Fields did pretty good, if the Jets ended up with a first-round quarterback. Even if they somehow managed to be picking at like 19, 20, they snuck in or they did a trade back, they're still going to come out with a quarterback to me, because there's so many that can possibly come out next year that I don't know. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting futures. I'm betting Jets quarterback first round 2026.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo did that in 2017. They traded up to get Josh Allen. The rest is history.
And they were panned for it. For it because Josh Allen was the dude that was just a large guy that didn't know how to play the position. And look at him now. He was just tall and big. That's it. But look at him now.
Yep. Now he's a couple steps away from a Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills, and he's a long-term quarterback there. So
I mean, at this point, I'd almost argue him for. I mean, I would almost argue it's him, Mahomes, 1-2 for top of the league right now. I mean, he's damn. Why couldn't it be us? Nah, the Jets would have ruined him.
Yeah, they would have.
If the Jets would have taken Allen and Sam Darnold got traded up for, Sam Darnold would be a top 5 quarterback, and Josh Allen would be, who knows where, CFL.
Serviceable somewhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah. Man. All right. Well, we're gonna get out of here in this edition of Victory Monday. We're gonna return the Monday after Week 1, so it'll be Monday the 8th, which would be the night after Week 1's game against Pittsburgh. We're gonna break down what happened in Week 1. Hopefully, it'll be a positive, it'll be an actual Victory Monday. I'm hoping for a few of those this year. We'll see. But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. Actually, we got couple more comments before we get out of here. Desi saying, no doubt Justin Fields can be a good quarterback. Let's see if he can inspire players to be better around him. The best quarterbacks elevate the play of the men around them. I think she meant to say all the time, but she said on the time. So, and she's also, again, being an Alabama fan, she's rooting for Quinnen Williams on defense. Naturally. Not surprised.
So are we.
It's true. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us on Victory Monday, which is our live stream edition of our Jets podcast, presented by No Credentials Required in association with Belly Up Sports. Follow our account at NoCreds on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Leave a thumbs up. Leave us a comment if you're watching on the replay. And again, join us live on Monday the 8th. We'll react to the game. Win or lose, we're going to be here reacting to it. Hopefully it's a win.
That would be a lovely way to start the new regime.
Absolutely. But we're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us, folks. Have a great night. We'll be back here on Monday the 8th talking about the New York Jets. Thank you for joining us on Victory Monday on No Credentials Required. We'll talk to you on Monday the 8th.
Dolphins blow.
Victory Monday!
We're the freaking New York Jets. We're built for this shit.